that track you just chose there, Jeremy, it was a choir, the Crouch End Festival Chorus. I gather from what you just said that you sang in it yourself. Was that? But why Philip Glass? I mean, you must have sung lots of other music as well.
The reason I chose that was because, partly out of my pride at having co-produced it, but mostly because the rest of the album has an arrangement that I made of one of his albums, Songs from Liquid Days, which I arranged for soloist, chorus and orchestra.
Okay, well let me just stop you right there, because obviously you've touched on something there which I was going to bring up, and the fact that you are an accomplished musician as well as everything else. And because it's all very well sort of throwing away these phrases like I arranged this, I arranged that, but that's a big deal. I mean, arranging music for choirs takes a degree of knowledge and skill. I mean, as an amateur musician myself, I'm well aware of what that takes, because I couldn't do it. So how did you get into music in the first place, and how come because that's not your job, but you obviously have a great degree of skill at it.
I think I inherited my musical ability from my father. I've always been interested in music. I didn't really have a formal education in music at all. And by and large in my life, I don't do regrets, but I do regret that not learning the piano as a child. So I can't play anything with any degree of skill. So I joined the choir for that reason,
right.
Because it was about the only thing I could do to make music. I joined Crouch End because it's a very dynamic choir. David Temple is a master of repertoire and of taking a choir that was really very lowly when he started it 25 years ago to the stage now where it's performs at the proms every year. It provided the backing to Ray Davies's recent album of old Kinks songs. And basically I found it a very interesting environment to be involved in. Sometimes it was almost as if the singing was the least interesting thing, because I got very involved with repertoire and organising it and marketing it and so forth.
And do you still sing now? Are you?
I don't sing now. I haven't found a choir locally that is large enough to allow me to hide in it, because I am not sufficiently good for to risk my voice having any degree of prominence.
I have to say, Jeremy, there are several large choirs around this area. I'm sure you could.
But the other thing is, to be honest, and this may sound a bit pompous, but it's the repertoire. One term we did Elijah Mendelssohn's Oratorio, and it was excruciating rehearsing that. I hated it. And
you don't like Mendelssohn, or
I don't like Elijah,
right?
But I was much happier.
He speaks very highly of you, but
well, there you go. I was much happier. Interestingly, I found singing some piece of music I don't like listening to, like The Dream of Gerontius, which I would never voluntarily listen to. Singing it was great fun. And that was an interesting lesson, that the stuff you like listening to is not necessarily the stuff that's easy to sing.
Interesting. Yeah.
But David produced concerts of extraordinary variety of repertoire, including a lot of commissioned work. And I really enjoyed being part of that enterprise, is the best term to call it. How I came to do arranging, I'm not really sure. I suppose I chose a medium which was choral music, which I ought to know something about, having just been participating in so many performances of choral works. The challenge with the arrangement of the Glass album was to make something which the person who liked Philip Glass but hadn't heard that particular album would not guess wasn't by him. In other words, the arrangement was intended to be entirely idiomatic. And it did have his approval. I remember sitting in the stalls of the festival hall one day with him whilst he looked through it page by page, making what he called suggestions, and which I tactfully interpreted as instructions of what to do. But
you don't want to argue with the composer, do you?
You don't really.
No.
But basically he accepted it. He made very few changes beyond saying he insisted on having a piano and the organ in one particular piece.